Now, let us talk about what carbon markets have to do with us as indigenous peoples. There are many types of projects and programs that generate carbon credits by claiming to avoid the release of greenhouse gases or to reduce or remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. For example, efforts to protect forests from being cut down and to plant new trees. Such activities are related to the concept of reducing emissions from deforestation and forest degradation, REDD+, which many indigenous peoples know from over a decade of this concept playing out in our communities. Renewable energy projects such as wind farms and projects using technology to capture carbon from the sky and storing it in the ground can also generate carbon credits. All of these rely on land in one way or another, and more indigenous peoples across the globe are experiencing increased threats to their rights over lands, territories, and resources due to the growth of carbon markets. For example, many communities have experienced that carbon credit projects or programs have been established on their customary lands without their free, prior, and informed consent, and in many cases, even without their knowledge. Some have found out about the projects only when external actors have appeared on their lands and told them to stop farming, hunting, and gathering on their own lands. In other communities, deals about carbon crediting projects have been made between outsiders and only one community member, instead of through the legitimate collective decision-making bodies of the community.
But we have internationally protected rights to lands, territories, resources, to cultural integrity, to self-determination, and to free, prior, and informed consent. AIPP. How is it that these rights are not protected in carbon market activities?
Yes, our rights should be protected, but the reality is that there are many different rules in the different markets, and they are not always in line with international human rights law. Even in cases where rules are strong and in line with international law, there are great challenges with those rules being implemented. First, because the bodies that are supposed to check that rules have been made fail to check properly and are not fully independent. Second, because governments say that the rules don't align with their national laws, so they don't want to comply. Third, because many governments fail to recognize indigenous peoples as rights holders. Fourth, there are inadequate grievance mechanisms to remedy rights violations when they arise.
It sounds like there are many problems with these carbon markets. I'm not sure that I trust this idea.
Yes, we are right to be suspicious. We always have to ask questions. There are now few initiatives emerging in the voluntary carbon market, trying to address some of the problems. They say they want to make sure that there is high integrity in the markets, and some indigenous peoples' representatives are involved in associated advisory bodies. However, at the end of the day, it is each indigenous people and its communities that must decide from a position of knowledge what they think of these markets and if they want anything to do with them or not. And in order for a community like ours to be aware of someone trying to manipulate us, sign an unfavorable contract, or for us to make an informed and collective decision whether to be involved in carbon crediting projects and carbon markets, there are a number of questions that are vital to ask and to think through together. Let's discuss this in the next video.